Hi, Jen. Thanks so much for joining the show today.
Hi, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And to get started, can you give the audience a little bit of context in your journey in UX research?
Sure. So my journey started in journalism, actually, print design. So designing newspapers and magazines. And then it evolved to designing for a marketing department at a law firm. And while I was there, I learned about user experience. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. I'm totally in. So learned all I could about it and started out more of a visual designer, which was kind of a seamless transition as a graphic designer or art director in print to become a visual designer. And then as I did more visual design, I started to learn about user experience and the deliverables and the kinds of things you can do in UX, which is beyond just mocking up pages or sites or whatnot, and really got excited about that. And then learning about the research that you can conduct to help inform your design. So I've kind of evolved across the spectrum, I guess you would say, where it started with visual design, then UX design, and now I'm currently a lead or principal UX researcher in the financial space.
Like, what type of applications have you had or been able to research for?
Sure. So I've worked on security, internet security, companies that monitor another company's internet. I've worked in healthcare, pet healthcare. So working on medical records and scheduling and inventory in animal hospitals. I've worked in the mortgage space. I've worked in the investment space and servicing loans or paying off loans, like in the auto loan space. So sometimes my users would be external, like consumer,
Mhm.
customers. A lot of times my users would be internal within the company. So my users were like employees or people who were using it within the company, which makes recruiting really easy to find your users because they're employees. And generally you can look in a database and find them. So I've worked anywhere from B2B, B2C, enterprise, customer facing, all kinds of applications, really.
Maybe the research doesn't inform how to do this, but how do you kind of like research for all age groups and then drive that towards a product experience that's, I guess, applicable to all of them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what you really need to be mindful and intentful about is testing with multiple age groups. Don't just test with people who are like you on your product team, because that's the part of the problem that we get some of the products that we do that don't translate or don't feel adaptable to other people outside of certain age groups or demographics, is they don't test with different you know demographics. For example, like a person in their 70s is not raised digitally native. They didn't grow up with a cell phone in their hands. They didn't grow up searching the internet to do high school work, right? So what is their mental model? How do they tackle problems? What are their concerns when it comes to some of that technology, and understanding those concerns and therefore addressing those concerns in your experience. So I think the key is to, yes, there's always seems to be a desired audience or a large audience that your product caters to, and it should, right? Not every product caters to every age group or location or
Mhm.
demographic, and that's okay. You should understand where your product provides the most value. But if you do have a broader experience, say shopping online, which can be done from anyone from a teenager to somebody in their 90s, you have to understand that those differences and those expectations and those comfort levels, and moving forward, understand how somebody who's older, what are the questions that they have about a product or an experience to move forward and to make that sale successful, and making sure that your interface addresses those.
I personally think that there's not enough researchers. I think there needs to be more because it's so powerful to turning these insights into product experiences and how much it improves the experience. So, what advice would you have for either new researchers entering the field today or designers who are thinking about, hey, this actually sounds like maybe research is up my alley?
I would say get experience.
Hmm.
uh, Education is great, researchers come from all sorts of backgrounds. I know people from library science, biology. I came from journalism and design, psychology, clinical testing, market research. Teachers, know loads of teachers who have converted. So it's all kinds of disciplines feed into user experience research. But I would say ultimately what a company wants to see in a researcher is that you can do the job. And for you to do the job, you need to show experience that you have done the job. And so when I was transitioning into user experience, even I did side projects to help me beef up my skills and to get skills on building personas or conducting interviews or competitive analysis or heuristic evaluation, some of these core skills that researchers often do. I took on side projects unpaid so I could build out those skills. It's not fun. It sucks, but I needed to show that I could do the work. And that would be my number one recommendation. Yes, degrees are great. Advanced degrees are fantastic, but an employer, especially in technology, they want to see that you can do the work, and you need to show that.
And then a question here about, where research is and should be in the design or product organization. Where does that team sit, or is there no one right way to do it?
Sure. I've seen research fall within the marketing department. I've seen it fall within the product department. I feel like sometimes research is lower on the totem pole than design. And I feel like I'd like to see it a little bit higher. You see the three-legged stool of product design and technology. I'd like to see a four-legged stool where research is there at the, that proverbial seat at the table, right? Because I think that research, when it gets ahead of a lot of those product decisions, it can actually guide the roadmap and guide product in a stronger direction. And we have to get ahead of it, not just evaluating concept tests and conducting usability tests toward the end of all these decisions. So I also have seen research be in a consultant form where, like, hey, we need this thing done, pop over here for 3 weeks, or embedded within a team and devoted to that product team or pod or squad or whatever it might be called, and really invested in that area and not going around to other pods like on a service basis. And I personally find that being embedded in a pod, in the trenches with the team all the time, understanding that context, how the decisions are made, what assumptions are surfaced, what the deadlines and pressures are, so that you can really empathize with what the team is going through. That to me is the best model for a researcher, is like to be part of that family, not just swing in for the holidays when they need somebody to cook the turkey.
I think that speaks a lot to like actually getting that research to be utilized, right? Like if you're in the trenches with that team, they see that you understand the product roadmap and why things are taking a certain timeline.
Yeah, absolutely. So much of my job as a researcher is building relationships and building confidence, so that when I do bring findings to the table, and it may not be positive or what was expected, that knowing that I'm coming with the best intent to show what we're learning and how we might need to pivot to move forward, rather than coming and raining on someone's parade. So being embedded gives you the opportunity to build that trust and that relationships, which is really vital when it comes to user research and the insights being trusted and acted upon.
What resources would you point researchers or designers toward? Anything to shout out?
Oh, sure. There's loads of great books. I won't go into all the books. I will mention that I am a co-founder and the president of an online group called UX Research and Strategy. You can find us on LinkedIn. We have several like social media campaigns where we're educating people about different terms and methodologies and whatnot. We also have a monthly free meetup, so you can come and learn about topics and come and meet other aspiring or established UX people, so that you can be with your tribe and meet your like kind. And so that to me, I guess I'm a little biased I consider that a great resource, because it's applicable to all levels. And I know a load of designers who, like you said earlier, Alex, are interested in learning a bit more about research. Maybe they have to do the research because they don't have a dedicated researcher, or the researcher is who's on the team is working on other things. So they want to do research and they want to do it right. and they
Yeah.
want to do it with confidence and rigor, and the approach that they're not, tainting the study. And so the UX Research and Strategy group, I think, is a great resource to learn from others and to learn from the community different approaches to conducting research.
And Jen, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Alex. This is great.